I said I would do a little lesson because, what else are we gonna do right now? So hopefully this works out. I don't know, just trying. I put together a little write-up I did at like 2:30 in the morning the other day. And I was something I like to play with a lot, which is these people talk about cycles. What is not psycho, but cycles, and what does that mean? So in the Slominsky books, as you hear about, like with legend and all that, one of the things that he does through that book is, and I know this, hopefully this is not too annoying, all the sound in the background. He takes the octave and breaks it up. So an octave, right, from C to C, a couple ways you can evenly divide that octave up, or actually it doesn't even have to be evenly, but maybe one way is to break it up and split it in three. So if you, from C to C, if you wanted to evenly split it up, how many notes in between? So maybe you'd have 4 notes in between, or 3 notes. So C, D, E, or C, C sharp, D, E flat. So the kind of the diminished thing. So from there, you have C to E flat to F sharp to A, and then you're back to C, all evenly divided. In the Slominsky book, there's a couple ways he approaches it. Like maybe what happens if you go from a half step below that, and you kind of end up with these interesting scales, right? Which ends up being a diminished scale. Or you could do it like from a note above, like a, so you get these, or maybe it's a note above and then a note below. That kind of thing. Anyway, what I did in this other lesson is what happens if you apply the pentatonics to that. So like minor pentatonic. So maybe you have an A flat minor pentatonic, E flat minor pentatonic, F sharp minor pentatonic, A minor pentatonic, and then back to C minor pentatonic. So one thing you could do is just kind of play in between those. So I'm in C minor pentatonic to F sharp minor pentatonic to the A pentatonic. Right, so that's generally the idea. Okay, so you can, and then there might be other ways you could break up the octave. Maybe it's in major thirds or perfect fourths and all kinds of stuff. But it ends up, when I'm doing it this way, it just sounds like it really shifts the way it sounds. Right? It sounds very like deliberate, and it's a little too obvious. So how do you make it not so obvious? So what I showed there was, what if you just did some different ones of these? I have this on repeat, so it'll keep. So what if you just did maybe like 4 notes per pentatonic, and then you switch to the other one, and you just run it up the fingerboard, and then in one position, and then when you get to the highest note, you kind of just come back down. So this is a good practice when you're going through chord changes and stuff. So this is kind of a similar idea. So the first one that I showed was the minor third cycle, and it ends up being 4 notes per pentatonic. So we go from C minor pentatonic to E flat minor pentatonic, 4 notes, to F sharp minor pentatonic, and then we got to turn around to A minor pentatonic, and then back to C minor pentatonic. So this is what it sounds like. Right? So now it doesn't sound quite as obvious, like you're going that kind of thing, right? We're switching at interesting spots and just kind of going up a scale almost. And then you can even use, so again, here's what it sounds like. But we could do all kinds, we can almost treat it like a scale, just because we put it in this one position. So I could do like 3s and 2s and all kinds of stuff like. And that kind of thing. That kind of idea. So that was the first one. Hopefully you're still with me. And this thing is just not so annoying because it's getting a little annoying to me. But here we go anyway. How about with major thirds? The same idea. There was 4 notes per each one. You know. So that's going from C minor pentatonic for 4 notes, and the next note to an E major or E minor pentatonic, and then the next note on the A flat minor pentatonic, and then end it on C. Or you could take it backwards. And again, you could do your little scale things, maybe like 3. So that's kind of the idea there. So that one, I'll just kind of play through these for you. How did I treat this? So then we had minor 6th one I did, which is kind of like the giant steps, so like, anyway, might have to edit that out. Anyway, it's a giant steps kind of thing, so the minor 6th, which is really just a major thirds sort of inverted. So if we break it up that way, how did I do it? So the first one I did was C minor pentatonic to A flat minor pentatonic to E minor pentatonic. And then of course you can go backwards. So let's do it. I'm doing it this way on the guitar because it's just easier for me to think about. So it's easier. In this case, it ends up being that instead of staying in one position. Right. The idea, though, is in the cycle is you want to go through the whole thing so that when you come back around, it sounds right. It sounds like you kind of like go to outer space for a second and then you come back. So that's what if we took the minor 6th with 4 notes per scale before you switch. If we did it for 3 notes, so C minor pentatonic to A flat minor pentatonic to E minor pentatonic back to C minor pentatonic. That's with only 3 notes, so I've limited the amount of notes per scale before I switch. Instead of, that's 4 notes per scale. Gotta try to remember it. That kind of thing. Or you could do 5 notes per each scale. So again, it's the C minor pentatonic, notes, and then to A flat, and then to E, and then C minor again. So that's kind of a cool little line. Let's do it again. I'll see if I can do it without making a mistake a little faster. Yeah, I have to get under my fingers. You know, and I'm showing this, it's kind of ends up being like a lick, but that's not really the intent. You want to practice it slow over time, and that way you can just apply this concept when you're improvising. And the reason we're doing it sort of like in a scalar fashion is what we're trying not to do is just like shift around and like do the I mean, I guess you can kind of do that, and it sounds kind of cool. But it sounds very, I don't know, contrived or something at that point. So this is an attempt to make it sound like a line. So this is kind of like that high information line idea, in my head at least, of what Rick Beato, I heard him talk about with high information lines, and like Brad Meldau and all these guys. It's like there's a musical statement that you're trying to say, and it sort of goes through from, you know, this little journey until it comes back and resolves. So we want it to be musical and not just obvious. So here's that one again. I'm gonna see if I can do it backwards. I can't remember it enough. Anyway, I think I had actually worked it out, but here I am rambling. All right, and then I just did this massive version of what happens if we break up the octave now with major sevenths. So basically what that means is it's like doing C minor pentatonic to B minor pentatonic to B flat minor pentatonic to A minor pentatonic, right? That kind of thing. But that's not very interesting sounding. But what happens if we make it one line? So this was... Oh, here it turns around again. Alright, so then we're going to do 3 notes per scale. So just follow me here. So we have C minor pentatonic, and then to the next note, which is the B minor pentatonic. So... And now we're to B flat minor pentatonic, to A minor pentatonic, to A flat minor pentatonic, to G minor pentatonic, to F sharp minor pentatonic, to F minor pentatonic, to E minor pentatonic, to E flat minor pentatonic, to D pentatonic as we turn around, to C sharp minor pentatonic, and then back to C. So I was actually thinking about it as I was doing it, which was helping so I didn't have to keep looking at the page, which I have right behind the video. But let's try to play it in some kind of time here. So really all this is, again, is going from C minor to B minor, right? But that's not a very interesting, even if you do this kind of thing, even if you do, it's not a particularly interesting thing after a while. So this is an attempt to make it sound like you have a musical idea that's going through. Almost. Let's do a little slower. Get my confidence up. the idea. So you can hear it. It's sort of like going out and comes in a little bit, goes out, goes in, goes out, but never quite. And then once you come back to the end, it sort of resolves itself, which is that. And all these little pieces are almost interesting in and of themselves too. So you might find something in here you're like, oh, that was kind of cool just by itself, that little piece. I actually played it right, I think. Anyway, so that's the idea. I could try playing it maybe like triplets or something, but I'm probably gonna make a mistake. Nah, something like that. I can't think that quick. But hopefully I'll work on that some more, and you can work on that some more, and I'd like to hear what you come up with. And of course you could do this starting from the other direction and come back down and up and down and all kinds of different variations. We didn't do perfect fourths, we didn't do ascending minor seconds, we didn't do all kinds of stuff. There's a lot of ideas to try out. Alright, I hope this is interesting to you, and hopefully this video actually works and somehow I can get it online. And I'll attach the whole write-up that I did. Let me know if you want more lessons like this. I've pretty much endless ideas that I'll never have enough time to work on, but maybe you will. So, alright, I'll talk to you later. Bye.